program for today's event. I had the pleasure of having conversations with people from around the world, and it was inspiring. Societal impact covers a broad array of topics, and discussions dove deeper, looking not only into the topics such as job creation, but what is the future of work? What does a job look like? What about the impact of 4-day work weeks? It is said that 1 in every 20,000 of us has the potential for an idea that can benefit us all. But what happens when those enlightened individuals are burdened with multiple jobs and heavy debt, working to feed and clothe their families? How could universal basic income enable these game-changing ideas to come to life? As mentioned, the circular economy is about innovative business models. This does not only pertain to businesses ranging from for-profits to non-profits, social entrepreneurship, cooperatives, public benefit corporations, but also the business models of cities and nations, and how to ensure that the economic model they have supports the required infrastructure, and how can it be transitioned via new incentives and tax reform. In Norway, while we may be behind the other Nordic countries in the development of a national strategy, we have the potential, given the enormous resources and social values, to be a front-runner in the circular economy, but only if we can convince decision makers that this is the direction to move in. And in order to do so, we need the tools to convey it and the data to back it up. So now let's look at how Nordic values are impacting the circular economy. Welcome Sarah Prosser of Ashoka Nordic.
Hi, my name is Sarah Prosser and I am the country manager for Ashoka Norway, which is part of the Ashoka Nordic team. The Nordic team is part of Ashoka Europe, and that is part of Ashoka Global. And as a global organization, I think we can now define ourselves as the largest and the oldest organization working with social entrepreneurs and with change making. My background is from both the public sector here in Norway, where I was working with regeneration programs and social enterprise as a grassroots initiative. But I've also worked in a huge variety of both the British Council, as a geologist, as a film festival director, and with affordable housing. But now I work in Ashoka, and we're really pleased to be here. We're really glad to be able to co-host this session. And particularly the track that's called Societal Impact. Societal impact is what Ashoka has been working with for the last 40 years. How we do it is that we elect some of the world-leading impact makers. They are distributed all over the world, from Asia to Latin America, Africa, the Far East. And we look at these people and we say, how did you get there? What was it that happened to you as young people to get there? But also, how do you, now that you've got to this position, how are you making that impact actually happen? People, as examples, are Rob Hopkins from the Transition Network, Mary Gordon from Roots of Empathy, Jimmy Wales from Wikipedia, Ola Kasov from Cycling Without Age. You imagine if you have a database of 3,600 of these people, if you can begin to see trends and analysis and share how to become like that, but also how to spread impact through this kind of models, then you're sitting on something really very unique and very special. Each year we write a report called Emerging Insights, where we look at all the new fellows and see what are the new trends that are going on and what does it actually take to make things change. How can we actually have impact on society? So last year we have elected 78 fellows from, again, distributed all over the world and working in all different sectors. So from human rights to health, to the environment, to education, economic development or civic participation. And with all these different initiatives and all these 78 people, they're all working within the non-profit or the hybrid kind of area. They've started movements, they've started organizations, but they haven't started for-profit businesses. And this is really important that we support those kind of initiatives, especially at the time when other investors are coming in and really pushing for the impact investing kind of field. Examples of people that were elected last year include Sue Riddleston, who started through her organization Bioregional. She started the One Planet Living framework that then went on and became really influential for how the UN has developed the Sustainable Development Goal number 12, the one about consumption and production. Or another example might be David Young, who is really trying to convince a big part of the Chinese community to eat less meat through his Common Green initiative. But what we can do then, once we've got all these fellows going out there, you actually say, well, then what's the opportunity to make more impact? How can we support them individually, but also how can we support them as a network themselves? An example would be the Accelerating Climate Change Solutions Access initiative happening in South Africa, where we go from social investment accelerators to climate change marketplaces, and then supporting them for a whole year. But also here in the Nordics, we've decided to work at a slightly earlier stage. And last year we ran this accelerator called Changemaker Accelerator for climate action and circularity in conjunction with Accenture and Nordea. We took two really promising social entrepreneurs from each of the Nordic countries, 3 from Sweden, and we put them together and ran them through a sort of a 6-month accelerator program, looking at how do you scale your impact. This was the main purpose, but also how could you do it together, but how could you do it individually as organizations, and how could you build new coalitions and alliances to really scale societal impact. Here you can see the participants. The 2 from Norway were Empower. They're in the green t-shirts, who wear green t-shirts, and they work with plastic recycling and regeneration, and with blockchain solutions. And Recircle, who work with a secondary value chain for the reusable building materials. What we talk about a lot when they're in these accelerators is how to scale social innovation, how scaling social impact is not the same as scaling a business. A business, you want to increase your direct impact. You want to get bigger, you want to have more of the same service going and getting more and more impact as it goes. If you're scaling a social innovation, what you want to do is have more indirect impact. You want people to take up your ideas. You want to say, yes, that's going to stick with me even once you've gone. So you want to change a law or a policy, but you also want to change mindsets. In other words, you want to do systems change and you want to do framework change, as well as perhaps your direct service. And this is where societal impact really becomes transformative. If we can change the whole narrative, as well as the systems, as well as having a direct service behind it to know that we're being authentic, then we're getting somewhere. So the accelerator program goes, instead of maybe a traditional accelerator, we say, what's your problem? Can you find a solution? How can you develop that solution and make it bigger? Our accelerators tend to say, right, what's the really big problem? What are the root causes behind that? Is it the education system? Is it the economic system? What is it? And it may be several, but where's your niche to be able to go in and work at a systems level? How can you then develop a targeted systems journey through that and develop the right tools and delivery models and partnerships to make sure that you're working as a collective action towards change? And talking about collective action, I'd like to also mention Catalyst 2030. Catalyst 2030 is a global movement that's been set up by a fellow, Jerub El-Mori, and she and many organizations now are trying to say, how can we have a global movement of systems changers who are all trying to collaborate to achieve the SDGs. They're doing such good work, and I'd really recommend you to go and follow their talks and their thought pieces and their website and their Facebook group, Catalyst 2030. Here in the Nordics, the latest initiative we're doing is really exciting. We're doing a new map called the Changemaker Mapping. We've decided it's too long since the last maps have been made about where is change happening and how is it related and what are the trends. So if you'd like to join in, please do get in touch. We're not only in the content, but also partnerships to make this happen. We, as Ashoka, we really think we'll be able to bring in our knowledge from outside, but also link it to the very local contexts and try and somehow create the rooms to then use the trends and the stories that are coming out of there to build up new collaborations, and maybe reveal new fellows as we go. It's hard to be an intermediary. I think lots of people recognize that in terms of making it a sustainable organization. And yet I think one of the major problems that we're going to be facing is how to stop funding, whether it's procurement from the public sector or philanthropic donations, how to stop funding direct service, as we call it, but how can we start funding systems change? Once we work out that, and we've made some new knowledge products around that, if you want to read them, you go to our Learning and Action Centre with how to fund systems change. But it would just be really nice to go beyond the thought and to start doing and really start making the systems change we need to see to make system change be possible in the future. So I'll stop there, but I really hope that you'll be able to join me. There's a session coming up afterwards called Radical Innovation, where we'll be able to have a more open discussion. But otherwise, please do not hesitate to get in touch on LinkedIn or Facebook. Thank you very much for listening to me, and hope you enjoy the session and the conference in general.
During the next 7 months, these social entrepreneurs are going to be working on their systems change strategies. So that means that together with their allies, they are going to be trying to put their initiatives on a longer term impact perspective and make sure that they not only have a direct impact, but also can influence the system where they are operating.
Change making is fixing a flaw in the system. You don't live your day thinking you want to be a change maker, right? You go about your business and there's something that's going to bother you. You feel like, I want to change this.
We are building a digital solution to incentivize the collection of plastic waste on a large scale, as well as to track this plastic waste throughout the supply chain. We are using new technology like blockchain to incorporate into our solution so that we can create a circular economy.
Our enterprise focus on food waste. So we are trying to figure out how to turn food waste into high quality ingredients and bring it back to the market. So there's a second chance for fruits and vegetables, others will be wasted.
Compensate is a Finnish non-profit foundation. It wants to provide people with the tools to tackle climate change as part of their everyday life, as part of their everyday consumption, so that people can take responsibility for their climate, or the impact they cause to the climate.
I think the main part I want to get out of this program is together with Empower find out how we can scale our impact.
So any small contribution you can make to a great idea, being part of that process will just be an amazing experience.
We want to create systematic change that really has an impact on climate change. But I think eventually we want to make ourselves not necessary. We want climate change to be tackled, and therefore there will be no need for Compensate anymore.
Innovative business models such as social enterprise have the potential to unlock resources in society in new and exciting ways. I am forever inspired by the impact of such initiatives, and the Oslo region has many, with each and every one of them backed by amazing individuals. It is my pleasure to welcome Randi Kviser-Haugen of Oslo Kollega, who are putting the circular economy into practice, impacting a wide range of sustainable development goals by creating inclusive jobs, effectivizing the value chain, using social innovation, and creating green jobs with urban mining, valuing people for the human resources that they are, and reactivating human resources that may have considered themselves a burden to society prior to being involved in such an innovative solution. We need to replicate, network, and scale these solutions. Welcome, Randi.
Hi Patrick, or hi René. How are you today?
I'm very fine.
Thank you.
I'm feeling good.
Can you please tell me a little bit what's happening here and how you are?
Sure, I can do that, Randy. I want you to welcome to Oslo Kollega, OK Data, which means OK Computer in English, to this department. We are in the retail business. We are recycling man and machine. I can start to tell you a little bit about the machines and the business we are doing here. This is a store we have to sell our items. People come in, or they order by internet and they come and pick it up, or we send items to them. We get our products from different departments in Oslo City. We have agreement with them whenever they're changing their equipment, they call us and we come and pick it up. We erase, of course, all the hard drives, and then we install new software, and then after that we are selling it further on to other people who needs it. We have very many happy customers because, of course, the price is getting really generous. So what I can tell about demand, that is that we have two kinds of positions here in OK Data. We have these employees like Patrick. He have a fixed job here. You have been working here for quite a time and you're happy with that. And we have like me. I'm here just for a little while to get myself into the mood, and after that I'm gonna go and get myself another job with support from Oslo Kollega to get integrated to the society again.
Patrick, tell me a little bit, what are you doing here?
Yeah, first of all, my name is Patrick. I'm working at OK Data. I am working on reception, on the store. I'm selling lots of things, laptops, screens, monitors, and stationary PCs.
And you are also working with social media.
And social media on Facebook and posting and marketing.
And you're making small films.
Yeah, I do. We will make more and more videos, and we will get more and more customers here. That's my goal, to do it.
So, are you impressed of my colleagues? I am. I would like to start with a few questions to you. And the first one is as follows. Can a certain business possibly solve major public and social society problems and at the same time deliver on important environmental challenges? Can mining industry be accommodated in an urban setting? And what are the possible rewards from converting a socially stranded youth into a credibly member of the workforce? And at last, how do we define social innovation, and how can such innovations help solve some of future's biggest challenges associated with unemployment? Are you curious? Then stay tuned. This is our story. Our employers from all kinds of backgrounds, some with different disabilities, some on their way back from one of life's blind alleys, and some simply making their way into the workforce for the first time, are all professionally trained into the business. There are two main value chains: reuse and recycle. PCs for reuse are cleaned and tanked with software and prepared for sale via our store or online shop. Equipment for recycling is dismantled and we harvest all materials of value. And we have a cooperation with Norcirk for the resale operation. I promised you earlier that you should meet Patrick again, and here he is.
Hei, jeg heter Patrick Niranjan, er født og oppvokst i Oslo, og bostedet jeg bor på Haugenstua. Jeg bodde der siden jeg var liten. Da jeg fikk jobben her, jeg ble veldig glad. Jeg har ventet i mange år for å få den jobben her, og data har jeg alltid likt. Og den dagen jeg fikk jobben, jeg ble kjempeglad, foreldrene mine, og jeg ble veldig stolt over at endelig jeg har fått jobben her. Så jeg er veldig takknemlig over mine sjefer har hjulpet mye meg, siden jeg ikke lært så mye. Først begynte jeg her, så kom jeg helt opp. Jeg er veldig stolt over hvor fremgangen min har kommet sånn, på en måte hvor jeg kom fra, ikke sant?
So then, let us be more specific on the various effects. The value of work in its own right. The associated health benefits from having something meaningful to do and to go to every day. On average, this small business brings 25 candidates back into the workforce every year, and in doing so, the net effect for the society is 305 million Norwegian kroners. Furthermore, we sell more than 4,000 pre-owned PCs in a year, and we recycle more than 350 tons raw materials and other parts. The combined impact on the environment from all this is hard to calculate, but we have estimated it to be. The key instrument is a model called social innovation, which is all about the process of developing effective solutions to challenging and systemic social and environmental issues. Social innovation is also about doing things together. It's about sharing responsibilities, resources, and knowledge. And these are our partners, and this is how we do it. So what do you think? Are this interesting? Can this solve some of our problems for the future? Do you want to hear anything more? Then do not hesitate to contact us.
Thank you, Randi. And if you have a chance to connect with Randi here at the conference, do. Not only is Oslo Kollega working with computers, but they also have other divisions, working with everything from bicycle repairs to job training in the hospitality industry, all the while incorporating food waste and seasonal menu solutions at the same time. Her understanding of the steps required to transition from unemployment to employment through basic work skills, training, and concrete competence is unmatched. What are the long-term impacts of libraries of things? The Nordic's first smart library of things, located right here in my local community at Nesodden, was originally brought to life not for the environmental impact, but to lower the socioeconomic struggles in a community that is under pressure due to gentrification, with nearly 10% living at or below the poverty line. What happens when we can alleviate the economic pressure on individuals and families? How many millions can it save the state 10 years down the line due to savings on social benefits required for people who are suffering from burnout, and lower the health costs due to stress-related health issues? Welcome Jean Homeke, who I've had the pleasure of knowing for many years, and with whom I co-paneled at the Disruptive Innovation Festival, curated by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, discussing radical reuse. He's one of the driving forces and thought leaders in the Library of Things movement, supporting hundreds of community organizations worldwide, enlightening us on issues that are more pertinent than ever in order to build back better, such as community resilience, impact on climate change, disaster recovery, social equity, and more.
Hi, I'm Jean Homeke, the co-founder and CEO of MyTurn.com, where we offer a software platform that helps organizations radically increase the reuse of products while reducing consumption and waste. To address pressing issues like climate change and inequity, we need to look at cross-sector solutions that can help solve systemic problems and improve community resilience. One such solution, Libraries of Things, are an innovative sharing and reuse program being offered by organizations in the public, private, and non-profit sectors, and they can help us reach the following 5 goals simultaneously. They can provide affordable access to products, including for people and businesses that might not otherwise be able to afford them, reduce consumption and waste of those very same products to help reach zero waste goals, fight climate change, help prepare and build back better after disasters, and generally improve community cohesion and resilience. So what is a Library of Things? Library of Things is a place-based sharing and reuse program where people can access, without having to purchase, items like power tools, sporting goods, small kitchen appliances, or just about any product. And when they're done, they can return them without the hassle of maintaining, repairing, or storing the items themselves. Typically, the products are owned or at least managed by a trusted organization that has a convenient location where people can pick up and drop off items, and some will use electronic locks and lockers to allow self-service access to expand their hours and make usage more convenient. Library of Things use a number of different business models. Often they're membership or subscription-based, where you pay a monthly or yearly fee to access the products, and some have per-item usage fees. Others, though, are offered by public libraries or municipalities, where access to products is free, essentially creating product as a public utility. Libraries of Things started with tool libraries, which primarily offer hand and power tools. What's believed to be the very first location has been in operation here in the States since 1943 at the Grosse Pointe, Michigan Public Library. By the 1970s, there were actually a couple dozen tool libraries, but most of those closed down due to a combination of difficulty operating without technology solutions, the rise of consumer culture, and the availability of cheaper products using global supply chains made in places without strong environmental or labor protections. The need for access and the joy of working with durable, high-quality tools and products didn't go away, but seemed to be forgotten for a while. By the mid-2000s, only a few of the original tool libraries were still in operation, but they would help inspire a new generation of libraries of things, which today are expanding around the world. In 2008-2009, two things combined to inspire this growth. First, the global financial crisis put millions of people out of work, so they couldn't afford to maintain their homes, start new businesses, or access the products they needed. Second, the reduction in cost of cloud-based software development and growing prevalence of mobile computing led to platforms like MyTurn. And this helped remove one of the major barriers to starting and managing a library of things. With so many people under or unemployed during the financial crisis, a shift to affordable access over having to buy everything yourself started to make sense to more and more people. Even as the economy strengthened, for many people, the growth and excitement around libraries of things was still growing. And in a post-pandemic world, they're going to be needed even more than ever. We're seeing an increasing number of entrepreneurs, non-profits, and cities using MyTurn to start and grow libraries of things. While libraries of things started in the United States, there are now hundreds in at least 15 countries, including Norway, Iceland, Sweden, and across most of Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and the Americas. And there are more starting up every day. The products offered often range from low-tech, like tools and baby carriers, to the highest of tech, like drones and VR headsets. The Nordics' first general library of things was started right in the Oslo region, and the first Nordic tool library was started by a social enterprise in Reykjavik, Iceland. In addition to making access to products easier and more affordable, libraries of things build community and can improve resilience by helping mitigate climate change through reductions in greenhouse gas emissions, by providing tools and other equipment for disaster preparation and response, and by creating jobs and reducing inequity, which will be the keys to building back better after the pandemic. So, how do libraries of things fight climate change? Many of us have only recently come to recognize just how big a role consumption plays in climate and other environmental and social indicators. While the majority of circular economic models seem to focus on material flows, consumption, including product consumption, has a huge climate and environmental impact when properly taking into account resource extraction, manufacturing, global supply chains, transportation, storage, actual use of the items, and then the disposal or hopefully remanufacturing of products. Research released by the C40 cities shows that when cities look at their greenhouse gas inventories from a consumption-based accounting perspective, they are 60% higher than previously calculated, and those consumption-based emissions from fewer than 100 of the world's biggest cities already represent 10% of global greenhouse gas emissions. The smaller loops in the circular economy, like reuse, can play a big role in addressing this issue. In fact, a UN International Resource Panel report found that value retention processes, especially reuse, can reduce consumption-based emissions by up to 99%. We found that at libraries of things, durable products are often reused 10 to 100 times compared to individual ownership. Libraries of things can also play a huge role in helping communities prepare for and build back better after disasters. To be most effective, they should be in place before disasters like superstorms, wildfires, or earthquakes happen. The tools, equipment, skills, and community that grow up around a library of things are essential ingredients for rapid response and rebuilding. After a disaster, it can take days, weeks, or even much longer for effective outside assistance to arrive. Communities better equipped to help themselves and other communities in their region, the better they're going to do after a disaster. We've seen libraries of things start in places like Puerto Rico after hurricanes and Australia after the wildfires. In fact, this past weekend, I was providing assistance to help get a larger network of tool libraries on the west coast of the United States started to help people rebuild after the wildfires. I just wish that larger network had already been in place. So what if the library of things itself is damaged in a disaster? This is where redundant and reliable platforms like MyTurn can help locate needed items at other locations in regional networks, or even items that were at a person's home or a job site when the disaster struck. And before that disaster happens, libraries of things can play a number of roles in disaster preparation. Some of the most popular items at libraries of things, like power drills, nailers, air compressors, and reciprocating saws, are often borrowed to be used for earthquake retrofits. And the Oakland, California Tool Library even has an earthquake retrofit kit that they lend to their members. Libraries of things can also reduce inequity. The first and most obvious way is by providing affordable access to products to people who might not otherwise be able to afford them. We're seeing this happen around the world, where people who can't afford to purchase items can access them either inexpensively on a membership basis, or even for free when libraries of things are offered by municipalities and public libraries. While this is not the same thing as being able to purchase the items, it can be even better due to not having the burden of having to store, maintain, or repair those items. Jobs and local value creation are also key concerns, especially in light of the pandemic. Libraries of things and similar sharing and subscription models are most effective when items can be reused as much as possible. This will lead to an increase in a need for maintenance and repair of those items and jobs associated with those. A recent report that SINTEF carried out with the International Labor Organization found that moving to a circular economy could actually lead to a 2.5% increase in jobs worldwide. And when they looked more locally at Norway, moving to reuse and repair models, like those enabled by libraries of things, would create a net 6,000 jobs in Norway alone. And there were similar findings in circular textiles, an area we're already seeing fashion and clothing-focused libraries, as well as innovative kids' clothing subscription services like Graceful Changes in the United Kingdom. So, where do we go from here? To really expand the scope and positive impact of libraries of things, we need to raise awareness of the model, increase collaboration between networks of public, private, and nonprofit organizations, and implement policies that will be effective in both increasing their reach and ensuring they are having the positive outcomes we're looking for. In the built environment, building codes that require inclusion of access to shared products, especially in multifamily homes and developments, could lead to reduced consumption, smaller homes with less storage, and a much lower environmental footprint overall. There is also a need for ensuring real-time data, not just on product availability in case it's needed, but also on reuse, maintenance, and the durability of products, so that we know when social and environmental targets are reached and where we have more work to do. And we do need to be mindful that place-based models that emphasize reuse will shift some jobs away from countries where goods are manufactured. And in those and developing nations, where we're seeing a rise in the middle class, essentially billions of more people who rightly want to have access to the same things that we do in the developed world, place-based and locally developed sharing and reuse programs, like libraries of things, have the potential to fill that need in a much more sustainable way.
So this brings us to the end of this part of the societal impact discussion. After the break, join Sarah for an open conversation on radical innovation. You'll have the opportunity to meet Katarina Mebe Eriksen of Circular Ways, sharing her experience with social entrepreneurship, reactivating underutilized human assets in conjunction with secondary materials via innovative partnerships. And you can also drop in on a session on changemaker burnout with my dear friend Davide Ginther, author of Burning Out Won't Get You There, Cultivating Well-Being to Successfully Lead Social Change. This is a topic near and dear to my heart, as it's not only the job of changemakers to be aware of the signs and pitfalls of changemaker burnout, but it is also the responsibility of the organizations employing them to understand their role. Because if we're going to build back better, we need to take care of the builders. Thank you.